This meeting.
It's sitting in a piece of.
Well, so far there's only one participant. This meeting. Chris Field, Wood Dunby. That's anybody. One participant. Chris Field, Wood Dunby. That's anybody.
Well, we had two of our dinner guest invitees have to cancel out the other day because they were isolated with COVID. Yeah, so it's not over. We had two of our.
Okay.
I wonder if that means we're going to go back to testing.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
So are we expecting Debbie this afternoon?
I don't know.
Okay. Be nice to hear what's going on.
She sometimes pops in, and I'm not sure if we have that much new news. She had a lot to tell us at the resident council, and then
Yep.
most of it came out with the memo. So I'm going to go over it, some of it. So.
Oh,
we'll
you
see.
got the memo? We didn't get the memo. So
Well, I got it in the email.
email. Okay.
So
Oh.
it helps that way I can have it a little faster. I used to
Yeah.
post it,
Yeah.
but I can't post right now because my I got some kind of screw up in the WordPress software that I use for the Village News, and I can't update it right now. It's the last time I updated it was July 1st.
The systems
They
get very
push.
complicated. Yep. And fussy.
Well, see, I taught it myself, and I have to go blame the teacher now.
Sounds like a good idea.
I think we've got several residents that tested positive, and a lot of people have been exposed to persons that tested
Okay.
positive.
Okay. Well,
Well, they're supposed to be doing contact tracing, but I don't know if that's going to be easy to do.
Well, they are. I got a call earlier today and said that I'd been
Okay.
exposed. I'm not quarantined, but they tested positive. But if I have any symptoms, then I've got to go get tested.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully not.
Well, the COVID rule, the COVID thing that came out 3 days ago, August 2nd, said we've been assigned a different nurse at the Orange County Department of Health. And the
Yep.
new nurse states that our percentage of vaccinated and boosted residents and staff is high enough that we can eliminate twice-week testing and go back to contact tracing only. So they're stopping the testing. So there won't be any testing tomorrow unless they change the rules again. So
Well,
that's
hopefully not.
what that's what the rules say right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The standing rule.
Well. Well.
Well. Let's
Mhm.
see. Anybody got any good stories they want to tell today, so I can get you on the agenda somewhere here? All righty. Let's see, I have. Let's see, what do I do next? There's my photos. There it is.
Yep. Hmm.
Say something.
Hey, Bob,
Yes,
can you hear me okay?
yes, I can.
I just saw a car being hauled away from our garage on a flatbed truck. And I don't know the young lady who was overseeing the deal, but she photoed the car before it got on the truck to make sure that there was no damage before it got there. But I'm wondering, and I really haven't given this much thought, is when somebody dies or somebody gives up their car, how do you get rid of it to your best advantage? If we, for example, if that was Wes Nelson's car and his daughter or somebody lived in Wisconsin, and she says, well, my God, I don't want to drive out there for an older automobile. How do I get rid of it?
Well,
We-
she's also responsible for getting rid of stuff in his apartment too. So,
Well, I understand that.
so it's not just a car, but I mean, the difficulty with a car, of course, is you don't have keys and you know, we're going to dispose it. And
The estate sale started in his apartment at 1 o'clock today. From 1 to 2 was for residents, from 2 to 3 was for the staff.
no, I see. Well, maybe we should put a little billboard up there that says car for sale too. I don't know.
Well, his daughter lives in Hawaii and she can't get the car over there hardly at
Oh,
all.
yeah.
She'd have to
Well,
sell it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's probably the logical thing to do, but
Yeah.
it's still a awkward thing to do if you without coming here and sort of managing the estate. And I guess they have people who do that kind of stuff, you know. And I just when you have a trust, you need someone to administer the trust and do all that kind of stuff. And then what do they do for final arrangements for Wes and that kind of stuff? I that'd be a good question for someone if we have in organization provide that kind of consulting. I don't know if Les Bishop is involved in any of that because I know he was involved with in counseling with some things, but I don't know if he's involved.
There are instances where people have no family. And I heard Debbie say one time that there are provisions within the corporation that they can have an executor assigned and those functions can be taken care of. But I don't think it's an easy process.
Well,
That
even
would be a good question for our state of the organization meeting
Very,
coming up at the end of the month.
Good.
So, all righty. Betsy, we got you in a photograph. Do you know that? We got a picture of you in a photograph. Let me share.
well, she can't, she's muted.
she's muted, yeah.
It is Betsy right there.
He's got a
Ah,
This is
Gee.
part of the butterfly release that
No.
we had earlier this week.
That's Joyce Kessler.
Hello,
But no, isn't this Betsy?
hello. Mute.
Doesn't look like Betsy to me.
Okay,
No.
I'm sorry. Maybe I have.
It's Sonia.
Looks like Sonia.
Okay, maybe it's this one. No. Okay, well, I guessed the wrong person. This looks like Betty Dauber,
Yes.
and I don't know who this one is.
No, you can save your breath. You can save. You
This
can
is
save-
Beth,
you-
and I think the other one was
No.
Betty Dauber.
No, it doesn't. See, I don't know that. I don't have a car. I don't have a car.
Okay, and then the other picture, I thought was a good picture to share today. You know, so goes another week without becoming unexpectedly rich. There goes a lottery. And then, of course, I told you about my son, and he moved back to North Carolina, and in the process of moving, he had all these puppies. Well, there they are.
Wow.
They are only 6 weeks old, and they look like a year or two old. They are a combination bloodhound and pit bull. So, okay, that's that. Yeah, I don't know what the story is on the butterflies, but Judy was passing that photo around. I thought I'd share it. I guess we have all kinds of, I don't know what the numbers are, but all kinds of butterflies coming and going here now. So, and that's really nice to have a project like that.
All right, so we let our last one go a few days ago, and we released it was number 30.
Yeah. Okay. Of course, this week we had the resident council meeting on Monday, and the reports were pretty much the same kind of stuff. Debbie started off talking about this meeting that's coming up at the end of the month with the front porch, and she's passed out a survey asking for our inputs on capital expenditures or ways to save money, things like that. And then there's also kind of things like cost savings you'd like to see, you know, if we don't like spending money on this and that kind of thing. And rating the services for dining, for maintenance, life enrichment, fitness, and overall experience with Walnut Village, and what could be improved. But I think she's really interested, and that sort of was a report card for her. But it's there are some interesting capital expenditures that we could probably fix to add. I was talking to Bill Orth, and says because we have all these new air conditioning units you're going to bring in. I guess about 45 of them, something like that, replacing them. But you know, the thermostats on all of our things are just set at one temperature, and they're there for the next until you change it. When I was a homeowner and I wanted to save a nickel or two on my energy bills, we had AM and PM settings on the thermostats, and it doesn't cost that much more to get a AM and PM type thermostat. That way you have daytime hours range, and you have nighttime hours for heating and cooling. And I'm sure we don't need to have the same energy settings for both. So that, I think, would be a real good consideration for the maintenance department or whoever needs to take that for action. I don't know, but those are the kinds of ideas people should think about, how we can save a nickel here or there.
Some of the public area, I know the El Capitan room the other day was 72 degrees, and the LLC was 73 degrees. And everybody that went in there had to go back to their apartment and get a sweater because it was so cold. And that was passed on to Debbie, and I think maintenance went down there and readjusted the thermostats.
Yeah. And I don't know why that's done like that either. But again, a lot of those they could have a even shut off to go to ambient temperature in the evening and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
They're looking for capital spending for the
Right.
budget right now. Is that what you're talking about?
yes, that's what we're talking about. Yes.
Sorry, I came in late.
The other idea I'm gonna submit, and it's been bugging me all along, whether it's capital or just a new expense, I believe we need to have an on-call videographer that we can use
Yep.
for training and documentation. For instance, the kitchen could use it so much because they have high turnover in the servers, and their training program consists of, a new hire following around an experienced person for a couple of days and then they let them go. They should have, and there's no standards for what people should do. So if they get hooked up with a good experienced waiter or server, then they learn a lot. If they get up mixed with a poor one, they don't really learn much, or they whatever. And a 15-minute YouTube-like video to show them how to do this and how to do that, and the sequence of this and sequence of that. So there might be a series of several videos they could use and call on that, and then that way they also could review it for better practices and stuff like that. Yes, Don. Yes, Don.
About 2 years ago, Colleen and I brought that very subject up to Nadine, and we said the same thing you just said. If you can't find it here, let's go to YouTube or somebody to give you a trick. And she said, oh no, Front Porch has a series of videotapes that teach every one of our positions how to be better.
That's not on the job. It's not at the level of training that the people need. Those are probably ethics trainings and all kinds of other stuff. I don't.
This was like, how do you set the table? Do you serve from the left or the right? Do you pick up from the left? It was the
Okay,
basics.
well, where are they?
And the only thing that came out of that I could recognize is that our suggestion was, we don't care what table the server is assigned, but when anybody who walks past your table and there's an empty plate there or a used plate, get rid of it, whether it's your table or not. And so far, that's working pretty well.
I guess that begs the question, have we ever asked if they're using that to do any training? I've never heard that question asked, and maybe they exist and we don't know it.
It is.
Where is it?
Well, yeah. Some people think that no, they can't learn from anyone else. They want to do it my way. So I don't know.
No, my statement was, is it already in-house and we don't know about it?
Are the resources available? So that would be another good question. But I think there's so many other things we could do for the procedures around here that we learn by osmosis, like how they run the front desk, and how they do the maintenance things, and all the other kind of stuff we talk that are sort of procedural that we need to know, and we need to make sure that the people performing those services know, and of course the earthquake people too, right? Right, Judy?
I wonder if that wouldn't make a good series for our town hall, to have each person talk about the process that goes on in their department. If we asked them specifically, how do you train the servers at the next town hall? How do you train the maintenance guys? How do you train the housekeeping?
Yeah.
How do you train the front desk? We're curious to know.
Yeah, well, that's true. Do they get training? Yes. Doug?
It was just started. We just had the first one about 2 weeks ago, was the new resident orientation that was run by Debbie. And it was a PowerPoint demonstration, but something that was moving and talking with audio visual rather than just visual, and a narration that went with it. That could be put in the can and it could be popped out and given at any time. That would be something that would be very helpful to our new residents.
Yeah. Those are all good subjects. And if there was someone that was sort of a central, an expert or guru for training on the staff that could try to say, well, here's how you train people with certain kinds of, do's and don'ts of how you record, what you record, and what level of detail you get into those kinds of things, because it's not necessarily obvious. Just handing a person a camera and say, go capture this is not going to really cut it, because nobody's going to want to watch it. So, yeah. Go ahead, Judy.
I'm impressed by the fact that Haley knew how to take the pictures of the butterflies in slow motion in order to capture them. And I'm wondering how much Haley might know about videotaping. Now, we can't steal her from Judy, but maybe we could borrow her for at least one of these things to see. I mean, she might know, I don't know.
Well,
She seems,
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I haven't met Haley and I hear so many great reports about her. Has everyone else had a chance to meet her?
I did.
She's Judy Marsh's new assistant. And I guess she's really sharp and we've got a lot high expectations for her. So we'll see how that goes.
I agree, Bob. I met Haley the other day and I asked her a question about a piece of paper that we need to have. And I got a blank stare from our leader, but Haley said, "Oh, it's right over here. I'll take care of it." So I think that she's an aggressive young lady. But on the matter of training, I am at full accord with training your replacement. However, when we train from here, largely it's a matter of shadowing the current employee or somebody who's planning to leave. Too bad, because the only thing that person can teach is what they know. We need outside influences and outside knowledge brought to our current trainers to bring them up to speed on what's appropriate for us right now.
Yes, and it's hit or miss too. If people don't think about it or they don't do it on that particular shift, the new person doesn't have that knowledge, and so they sort of improvise. But yeah, that's a big open subject, and I think that's going to have to be on my survey. I hope other people can jump in on that too. Let's see. We had I think Debbie mentioned no new residents in July or August. And our occupancy is stuck at 87%. So we got to go out and beat the drum somewhere.
Ellen heard the other day that there may be a resident moving in August,
Oh,
okay,
but that's kind of a definite maybe right now.
yeah.
Okay. All righty. And now, just as we started opening, we're talking about many new people exposed to COVID. I don't know if that's going to change anything, but we'll have to keep our ear to the ground if how that's going to, with more people exposed, is that going to put us back in a testing program? I don't think so. I think they're going to have to try to just get more experience in contact tracing and stuff like that. So, we also had a chorale rehearsal this week, and we're back in business. We have a new piano accompanist, and her name is Grace Kim, and she is wonderful. She really talented playing the piano.
Yep,
and we have high hopes that gonna give us some good backing. We still need a few more talented singers. We got George just come back to help us out, and I appreciate that, George. We just got to get you, back in the swing of things.
Yep.
I usually, when a new season begins, download the music that we have from the source and put it on into a bunch of MP3 files and let you download them from YouTube. I mean, from Dropbox, and you can save them and play them. That's when you listen to the stuff, you get it in your head, so you don't have to wait for 3 or 4 rehearsals to get it. Oh, I know what that song's all about, and then you can listen to your parts and everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing that over the weekend, and you should be watching for those. I'll email out the links to the Dropbox for the chorale people in a day or two. Let's see. We have a resident staff appreciation lunch on Wednesday. It usually goes from around 10 till 1 o'clock. It's going to be outside the bistro. It's going to be a hamburgers and hot dogs menu. And let's see, Julio on the harp is going to be in the Red Chair Lounge on Monday at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Very entertaining. He's a very talented guy, and we haven't had him for a while. I guess he's been out of the country or something. And the Beach City Band is going to be playing also Friday night I mean, Monday night in the courtyard. So, and let's see, we got also Lois on the piano on Thursday in the Red Chair Lounge. So that's the entertainment that I caught from the schedules. Let's see. Debbie also mentioned a little more about the evacuation drill we're going to have on the 24th of the month. And if it's a voluntary kind of thing to, if you want to participate, you put your notice in, and when they have the drill, they have a little sticker on your door, and then they'll come by and knock on your door and say, let's get out of here. So the whole idea is getting as many people who volunteer out of the building safely in case we had some kind of an emergency that's not just an earthquake. It has nothing to do with the earthquake people. The earthquake people will participate, but it's strictly to train the staff. And let's see. Oh, I just noticed last day or so we have a new map of the facility with all the names and
Yes,
people.
thanks to
Is that,
Ken.
Yes.
was that Ken? Is that your job, Ken?
Ken does that.
Hey.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
really
it's
nice.
beautiful.
It's always very handy to know where people are, where they are.
That's right.
and So forth.
And thanks
Keep
to
going.
Fred Nelson for starting it.
Oh, yes.
Is anyone still in touch with Fred? Any in this group? I know he stays on the email sometimes. So Fred, if you're listening in on YouTube, thank you so much for having gotten that started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I talked to Judy Marsh about that because I said when I did my last photo directory, I said, make sure Fred gets a copy of this. And I
Yeah.
think she sent him one. So I'm sure he gets a kick out of that. We've had a lot of turnover of people. So I'm not too sure he would recognize too many of the people.
No,
since
no. There's a core
he-
group that's still here that he wouldn't know.
Yeah,
But,
he's been gone about 4 years now. So let's see. Okay, I don't have any inputs from Debbie other than that so far.
do we have the Friday report?
Well, we do have the memo that's out, and
Oh, I don't have it yet. Okay.
it's in the email already, and I
Okay.
covered most of the stuff. There's a lot of the stuff she just sort of covered in the
I repeat.
Covered from
the
I'm off mute.
resident council meeting, and it's pretty much the same stuff. But I was going to go into the next segment about. Okay, John first. We'll do that.
Yeah, thank you. The COVID-19 is really a bug to me. And it just distresses me that Dick Gray cannot put on his email those who have been afflicted with the virus. I have been after Nadine, and I've not yet attacked Debbie about having Dick notify us who tested positive. Reason being, I don't want to be traced. I want to know who has it so I can determine if I was near that person or if Colleen was near that person, or
Right.
who should I avoid? And I either think that I looked up the law a couple of times. And in my opinion, HIPAA, which is the Health Insurance Privacy Act, does not apply to this type of situation. And I'm not sure how you all feel, but if you had it, Bob, I'd want to know. So I would say, oh yeah, well, I had dinner with Bob the other night.
Mhm.
I think it could be used as a preventative tool as much as anything, Don.
I agree with you, Doug.
Right.
Well,
So you would-
I wonder if we could have the regular resident population sign a release and say, if I have it, tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
And then there's no HIPAA issues.
That's good.
Well, I was
don't-
contacted today because Gary has it. And we had a meeting on Wednesday and everybody in the meeting was potentially exposed. So there's a whole
Yeah.
bunch of us that got a phone call. So if you have it, you know you have it, the nurses have tested you, then you're supposed to tell them everybody who was near you. So that should be covering it.
Well, the other way would, if we don't sign a release, maybe we could email Dick and says, I've been exposed.
Yes, exactly. There's no reason why we couldn't tell Dick.
Yep.
Yeah. That's true.
And that would be a nice friendly policy. Maybe we should get the resident council to sort of endorse that or something like that.
I think that's a good idea, but you know, there are some people who would be reluctant to say I have been exposed because they believe they're invulnerable. They believe that they don't have to subscribe to the laws of this organization. But I just don't want to be near them if I know they have the disease.
Well, and I might add one other thing. Someone who is exposed and has been told to stay in their apartment also has some mild dementia and forgets to stay in their apartment. So that's a good reason for us to know who it is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we could do, what was the Scarlet Letter? We could-
Bob, that was Hester Prynne. How the hell do you remember that?
Well, you know,
I don't know.
I think the restriction is that the staff can't tell us. But just like Judy mentioned, once it becomes knowledge to the resident population, I don't think we have that requirement that we have to be quiet. And as soon as we know, I think we could contact Dick Gray and others and say, I know that this person is tested positive, and now we can spread the news and avoid, avoidance and common knowledge. It becomes tribal knowledge throughout the community.
That's a good idea, Doug. And I think one of the problems we have, however, is that if somebody's tested positive, the only way you know it is somebody puts a different colored garbage can outside their door.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
right.
that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see cans outside of the White's apartment, starting yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard Annette was exposed. And
Oh, okay.
We didn't know about that.
We know that Herzog has a canister outside their apartment.
yeah,
And so do
I
the
understand
leaders.
Schluter does also. So
169.
Starting last week,
Leaders,
So they-
that's what I thought.
and the Spreadleys are told they have to stay in for 10 days, I believe.
It sounds to
Well,
me
there's
like,
something-
it sounds to me like we are in accord that we should know who has it. And
Uh-huh.
I wonder how we could advance next to make sure that management knows that and that we want to know who has it. How do we go, what's the next step?
Right.
Well, who's the person who spreads the rumors best?
Good
Gary
question.
Spradley, he's got it.
He's in quarantine. He can't move.
Yeah, you can't walk through the hallways and see who's got the canisters out. That's how we used to know.
Well, I don't know how we forward this recommendation. Who wants to take on that job? But
I don't think resident council has too much to do with that. We don't have a health officer.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I guess maybe we have to form a gossip committee.
Well, it may be easier than that. Every once in a while, we have a meeting where Pamela Lowe, they says something. Now, I suspect that she's the one who's in charge of what goes on around here health-wise.
Well, she probably has to
Debbie is the one-
distribute the garbage cans, right? She's a,
Yeah, but Debbie is the one who makes the decision.
oh,
So I think that we need to get to Debbie. Now,
yeah.
I'm not sure how she feels about it, but if, let's say, for example, that Ernest had it, wouldn't you think she'd want to know that? She
Mhm.
works in the next office.
Yeah, well, it's,
And that information probably wouldn't get into the resident population very easily.
No.
It would if Dick Ray knew it.
Well,
That's
the
true.
staff, I don't know that we should know in the staff who has it. That becomes a different question. I think we're just talking about residents, right?
That's all I care about, Judy, is who has it.
yeah, how can we minimize our risk of
Yes.
being exposed by avoiding those people?
Yeah, well, if one of the servers had it last night and she was at my table, I don't think that gossip is going to get to me because that's within the server staff.
Well, I don't think that's gossip, Judy, if
Well,
management knows about it. If
it's
management
real.
knows about it, then they should publicize it. This should be a transparent organization.
They say it is.
You would be
Hmm.
contacted, Judy, by contact tracing, but you wouldn't necessarily, we wouldn't know the source. And I
The
think
only-
that's what Don is saying. We need to know the source so that, avoidance can be employed and the common knowledge, then
Right.
everybody could help themselves out by avoiding those individuals that test positive.
It
Well,
would
I'm
also
thinking
help-
about the beginning of the pandemic. My housekeeper got COVID. And I was not told that, but I was told that I had to stay in for a while.
Oh,
And that was like in the first, maybe the second month, the third month, really early on, before anybody had any sense of what we were going to do. Now, she got it again about 2 months ago. And this time I was called by Maria, who said, I'm going to have to send her home. So this time I knew, not that she had COVID, but that she was going to be sent home and that she wouldn't be coming next week to clean my apartment. And when I said, well, I'll see her the next week, she said, like, I can't tell you, but she's going to have to be in for 10 days, So
Yeah.
at least I knew that little tiny bit. With the server, I've never been told and
Well,
it seems like every time they tell us the server's been, has COVID, and they always say afterwards, but they haven't been at work. And it's like, then they don't have to do tracing. So,
yeah, I think if we could address this at Debbie's level, to say this is more important than the HIPAA rules that may be at a gray area. And I don't know how that rules, because I'm sure if she was uncertain, she would follow the HIPAA rules, just make sure that she's not liable for something like that.
right.
But if
Well, I
we
think
found that
first-
there was a weakness in that area, you're
I think
shaking your
first
head,
that you
Don.
I think first you would probably contact Front Porch and say, what should I do?
Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Well,
But
maybe that's,
my question is, should we really have the president of the Citizens Council address this issue and pursue it?
Yeah.
Or who would take the next step?
Council has
Yeah.
to say.
I don't know. It's you have to probably know by having a good expert knowledge of what those HIPAA laws are and where there's some, if there are deviations or exceptions because of COVID, contact tracing and all the other kinds of things. I think there's something there, Don, and you as a lawyer should maybe see if there is a weakness there that could be exploited, and maybe the staff and residents could be on the same page. Otherwise, we have to go around sneaking around, having our own rumor mill and our own information network. And
I wonder if we could formulate a very specific question that would say, would it be possible for X to happen? And X has to be very specific.
yeah,
I'll look into it, Bob, and see what I can find.
okay, I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, let's see.
HIPAA.
It's,
There's your pen.
I know we all have our own
I had a
privacy
print memo.
issues.
And I threw it away.
And in fact, I was going to talk about one thing today about there's a new browser out. It's called Brave. Brave, go to brave.com. It's best. It's much better than the Chrome browser because it doesn't send all your personal information to Google and have them sell it to everybody. But I started playing around with it, and it's a little goofy to try and learn how to do that because it's in a public, it's a what they call public source code or whatever, open source code. And it's very good browser. It's been around since 2016, and it works fine on the PC. It works okay on the Mac, and there's a little training involved. And so I'm not ready to demonstrate it for you, but if you're interested in privacy on the computer, take a look at the brave.com browser. Okay, let's go on to have some more interesting stuff. This week, well, actually this year, in the last month or so, we have did I get this up? Yeah, okay. A new celebration for something I think everybody knows about, but I'm not sure everyone is aware of. But the Hollywood Bowl is 100 years old.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And I want to try to cover a little bit about that. I'm going to do this. Let's go to this down. Oh, gosh. Ah, there it is. Okay. Oops. Now I got to do something else. Okay. So this is in 1922 when the Hollywood Bowl was a simple wood platform, a tent and canvas, and they had the hillside carved out with a bunch of seats. The patrons sitting on movable wooden benches. Pretty primitive. But it turned out that everybody liked it. It was a good idea. So the next thing you know, a year later, they built a much more elaborate system. And they had 150 box seats and bench seating sections and all this kind of stuff. And they kept on going. So the next few years, they're adding more wooden benches. You can see all the grass in between them.
Oh, yeah.
Here. And then here's Frank Lloyd Wright, Lloyd Wright, son of Frank Lloyd Wright, is commissioned to design the sets for theatrical productions at the Bowl, and he later got the commission to design a shell for the 27th season. And he had a pyramid shape to that design, and it became most distinct and controversial. Well, that didn't last very long. So then pretty soon they wanted to have something that's better, and they gave him instructions to design a semicircular shell and tackle the issues of acoustics and aesthetics. And 9 concentric segmented arches, which can be tuned by panels, and the shell is in the forefront of the stream movement and acoustical success. So I guess he finally got the right idea, and that's where they went from there. So here's the thing a little after it's constructed, and they have all these people in there singing away, so forth. And here's some more pictures. I jumped a couple of decades here. Here's the audience. It was limited to 5,000 during the war-related safety concerns. By the way, I got all these pictures at a website called hollywoodbowl.com, and I just wanted to keep this limited because they had all these different artists and orchestras and jazz bands and wonderful performers, and all little cameos of the things they did. So there's a lot of information there if you want to go through it. Here's Eugene Ormandy. He was named the director of the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra in the first West Coast performance of Mahler's monumental Symphony No. 8. And then now he's adding more benches and more venues in here.
Wow.
6 35-foot towers of light and sound were built on the east and west perimeters of the seating area. And here we got sold out with Leonard Bernstein and Heifetz and so forth. Brahms double concert with all these guys. Then here's a case where they're going to try to make it better. So there's another architect and acoustical guy they hired to improve the acoustics, installing these sonotubes, which these things around here. and the
Right.
prefab cardboard used to create concrete columns were placed inside the shell and extended along the wings,
Yeah, that would
enhancing the
bounce the
sound for both the audience and musicians. However, the placement of sonotubes obstructed the views of the bowl's shell, and the public didn't like it.
Oh.
So it didn't last very long. And here's a case of the Mariachi USA Festival, which is joining the Playboy Jazz Festival, and they're doing fireworks above it. So that's as a preseason event for the Hollywood Bowl. All kinds of interesting stuff they did with there. And here's the another architectural firm trying to make renovations to bring the show performance and backstage facilities up to par for this earthquake seismic standards. And it was completed in 2004. And notice all the other stuff they keep adding and adding here. So
Yeah.
here's pretty much current configuration. They had,
There's
and
the
they were
speakers
doing
there.
restrooms. They're doing video screens on both
Oh, on
sides.
either side.
Then we had all these sound amplifiers here on the top
Oh,
and
good.
so forth. So, and then I thought this was appropriate for this week because here's Vince Scully, who
Vince
passed
Scully.
away this week.
Yeah.
And Vince, he was very special to the Dodgers, but he realized he had a limit to what he could do. And so he finally retired, I guess, around this period in time. He's been working with the Dodgers since 1960 or something like that. So many years. Anyhow, he was narrating the words from the nation's 16th president that Aaron Copland incorporated into his 1942 work, Lincoln Portrait. The first time Scully performs with Gustavo Damel and the Lodge Edward Philharmonic. So, good old Vincey. And then here's a more recent picture with colors and some Kool and the Gang rock group, I guess it was. And this is the first opening because they had closed it down during the COVID-19 pandemic, and they didn't have the fireworks special and all that. But this is a disco funk group, and they had a great time. So that gives you an idea how the thing evolved over many years. And it's really an iconic place. It should be on everybody's bucket list to go there.
Oh, yeah.
Since they've made it now so you can bring your food and your
Mhm.
booze, wine, and everything else, and have the special tables that you can use to dine there. Or they also have venues where you can dine before you enter the bowl, and on these different. I guess they're like a special ticket package, but really something. And I'm not sure there's anything like that in other cities around. Coming from Boston, I used to see they had the Shell on the Charles River, and we had summer concerts there. But it's nothing as spectacular as the Hollywood Bowl. So I will share how we got through the 100 years of Hollywood Bowl performances here. Let's see what else I want to show you. I have another cute little story here. I might as well cover that one too. It's a story about this young couple that get this thing out of here. The young farm couple got married and just couldn't seem to get enough loving. In the morning before Homer left the house, I gotta stop. This is too wide. In the morning, he went out in the fields, but before they made love. When Homer came back from the fields, they made love. And at their bedtime, they made love. The problem was, for the nooner. It took Homer a half an hour to travel home and another half hour to return to the fields. He just wasn't getting enough work done. So finally, Homer asked the town doctor what to do. Homer said to the doctor, you just take your rifle out to the field with you, and when you're in the mood, fire off a shot into the air, and that would be Darlene's signal to come out to you. Then you won't lose any field time. The doctor, they tried the doctor's advice, and it worked well for a while. Homer came back to the doctor's office and says, well, what's wrong? Did my idea work? He says, oh, it worked real good, said Homer. Whenever I was in the mood, I fired off a shot like you said, and Darlene come running. We'd find a secluded place, make love, and she'd go back home again. Good. So what's the problem? Asked the doctor. I ain't seen her since hunting season started.
Ooh.
That was a cute one. All righty. I've seen many different ads recently about this new rules for required minimum distributions of your IRA.
Yeah.
So I signed up for one of these webinars. It's actually going to be next week. And I kind of think maybe it's just a come on for me to get to know a new financial advisor firm and all that kind of stuff. So I started looking into the rules myself to try to figure out what's changed. And there's a whole bunch of things have changed. So if you are, and I'm sure most of you are having distributions from your IRA, and I think most of you are beyond the age of 72, then
Yes.
we have a few things to worry about. There's been several changes. Congress set one change because the rule went, you start distributions not at 70 and a half now, you start at 72. And then they set up, they have three different longevity, or what do we call them, tables. And there's there's the main table, then there's two other tables, depending upon if it's your spouse and or not, and other cases. And let's see, your longevity has increased slightly on this newer table because they revised it in 2021. So you're actually going to look at a little discount, but I'm not sure how long it's going to last. And then the other one is inherited IRAs have changed. So instead of this, it's like a spread IRA now. The beneficiary has to, withdraw everything in 10 years or something like that. So there's a lot of little things that have changed, and you might want to talk to your financial advisor as these things change, because there's probably affecting the distributions as of this year. I'm not sure exactly when. So
Bob?
Yeah.
Is there any, I haven't heard anything, but it would seem with most laws that you'd be grandfathered in at the point at which you set up your estate, or at some point where you wouldn't be affected by these new laws. There's nothing like that, is there?
No. They changed the tables, and there's three different tables, like I said, and there's all the kind of stuff. They actually had a law when COVID came up, they didn't have to do any distributions for that 1 year. But that's been rescinded now. So if you just want to do a little Google search and on RMD rule changes, you get an overview of it. But there are a lot of complexities now, and some of the complexity may apply to you or not, and that's why I guess some of these financial planners are getting excited. I can have all these people come out and visit me, and I maybe get a few new accounts. But I don't think it's going to affect us a lot. Just the key thing is that there's a new table that we're going to go against, and your life expectancy may have changed in the new table. So that
Which is
number will.
good news. We're going to live longer.
Well, we may.
Well, actually, since COVID, people are living less, but the table says we're
I
living
know,
more.
but the government.
So
said we're
the
gonna live
government's
longer.
got all screwed up, it's backwards. Whatever. Okay. Let me see if I can, I got another couple of funnies here. Okay, here's another one. Everybody loves trivia, right? So let's see if we can handle this one.
Never-
Real
John's
simple.
really good.
Okay. This is your brain on 80s trivia. The
Grace,
Bride of-
Princess
You see it?
Grace.
Princess Grace. Yeah, well, you already guessed it. The Prince of Rainier, the former actress, perished in 82. Her car went over a mountain. Who was it? Princess Grace, Princess Leah,
Grace.
Princess Diana, Princess.
Yeah.
It's Grace.
Right. And that took.
I didn't remember that she
3
went off.
minutes.
that
Wow.
road.
Okay. What was this? What am I doing? I'm gonna go back to where I was. Okay. In Risky Business, Tom Cruise lip synced to Old Time Rock and Roll, Born in the USA, Jump Around, or Pretty Woman.
Oh,
I guess pretty good. I don't know.
it was 82, so it can't be Born in the USA. And maybe not Pretty Woman.
Old
Maybe
time rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Old Time Rock and Roll. Perfect. There we go. Okay. Let's see. He narrated the Thriller video.
Well,
The Thriller
probably Vincent
video.
Price.
Yeah, I think it's Vincent Price, right?
Is that right?
Hey, we got another one right.
Okay, so it turns, the little arrow comes up if you get it right.
Yeah. In a twisted attempt to impress actress Jodie Foster,
Oh,
he
John
attempted to
Hinckley
assassinate
John
President
Hinckley
Reagan.
Jr.
Hinckley.
Yep.
Junior.
Junior.
John Hinckley, senior or junior?
Junior. There we
He's the
go.
one. He's the one that shot
There we
Reagan.
go. Hey,
I love that. Lee Harvey Hinckley.
works as Lee Harvey Hinckley. Okay. Okay, so that was that one.
Okay.
That kind of
And
trivia.
let's see. I have another one here. This is, I think, I'm not sure who sent me this one. A question often asked of someone who buys a new car, what will it do?
Yeah.
The answer usually is something like 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds or something like this. So here's a 2022 Ferrari 458 Italia. First, here's what it looks like. Now, what will it do? Here's what you can do. Okay. Let's see. Well, let's see. I think it's about time for puns. Any last minute comments or stories or something I want to talk about before we finish up? Your last chance. Okay, well, let's see if I can find a bunch. All right. I've got to set this up so we don't see the answer before we see the questions. Okay. All righty, here we go. Why were dancers in the 70s always sick? They all had boogie fever.
Ooh.
All righty. Why did the vegetable call the plumber?
This
All righty. No
garbage.
answers here. There was a leak. There was a leak.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's
oh,
good. That's
oh.
good.
Okay. Why are cats? Oh, why are cats terrible at telling stories?
They only have 9 lives.
No, they had one tail. This one's a little, pushing it here.
Greenleaf.
What's an avocado's favorite genre of music? Rock and roll.
Ooh.
Rock and roll.
Guacamole.
Ooh.
Rock and roll.
Roll.
Rock and roll.
Okay. Here's a sad story. Why did the baby blueberry start to cry?
It's very, very
Hmm.
sad.
His
It was
parents were in a jam.
Parents were in a jam.
Oh.
Parents were
Yeah.
in a jam. Oh.
What do you get when you cross a dog and a calculator?
It's
The dog doesn't have to wear glasses, by the way. So
Crossed eyes.
there's a lot of bites. The dog
it's a
doesn't
friend you
bite.
can count on.
Oh, 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 oh.
Why are sandals so indecisive?
They flip and flop.
Yeah, they flip and flop back and forth.
Hey, very good, very good. Yay.
Flip. Yeah, flip and flop.
Now this one's really pushing it. What fish sings the best?
The bass.
Bass. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a good idea, but no, the tuna fish.
Oh.
Tuna.
Oh.
I'll accept the bass thing. Why was the nurse afraid of camping? Because there was so much poison ivy.
Oh, oh, oh,
Okay.
oh.
What side dish did the deer bring to the barbecue? Oh,
Antelope.
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 The antelope. Yep, yep.
Antelope is like
A
cantaloupe.
Oh.
deer.
Okay. Why couldn't the tiger run any faster in the race?
Something to do with the stripes. I don't know.
No.
Yep.
You remember Tony the Tiger?
Tony the Tiger. Yep.
Yeah.
The stripes would peel off.
His opponent
By-
had him by
by
the
the
tail.
What? What's that?
Okay, here's the last one. Did you hear the rumor about the butter?
All melted away.
Did you hear the rumor about the butter? No takers. Okay, well, here it is. I'm not going to spread it.
Spread it.
Oh, rumor.
Okay.
All righty, that's it this
They're
week.
always fun.
Okay.
We had a good discussion this week. We had a lot of things to bring up. Maybe we'll see if we can get the world to move in our direction. So take a little working though.